What's up, everyone? Okay, so this is the project that I was talking to you about earlier. It's Friday. As you can see, I have like pieces of PVC all over my face because I've been sanding these PVC slingshots all day. So I made this based on the design that the Backyard Boyer made in one of his videos. The Backyard Boyer, for those who don't know, is a guy who basically builds PVC archery bows, and he is the inspiration for where I got the ideas for mine. So this is just like his 1 inch. It's about a 6.5 inch long piece of 1 inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe, the plumbing variety. And it works fantastic. I've actually built one of these before, but I ended up breaking it because I was shooting ammo that was far too heavy for it. So I wanted to rebuild, but I bought a whole 5-foot length of PVC pipe. So I ended up making like 9 or 10 of these things. And with all the rubber that I bought, I'm going to have a lot of them. So if you guys want one, let me know. I'm probably going to sell them for about 10 bucks each. Okay, so this is the one that I made from my own, sort of genuine inspiration. This is a T-piece that is a 1/2 inch, and I put a couple pieces of 1/2 inch pipe in there after I flattened them. So I just heated it, flattened them, stuck them in there, heated this, flattened that, then I curved them up slightly and rounded them off. Now on the bottom here, I stuck a 1/2 inch piece of PVC inside there. And you can see that I also put a 3/4 inch piece over the top of it because I have bigger hands, and it's much more comfortable to hold this way. But what this allows over this is that these forks are relatively high. You could probably pull them apart farther once it's heated, and that would make the pull, the leverage when it's in your hand, lower. And that's better because you'll have better control. You do have the greater possibility of it hitting your hand, though. With this, I feel like I got really good control. So I'm going to show you guys how to make this one today. If you want to see how to make this one, you can visit the Backyard Boyer's YouTube channel and just search around for his slingshot. He made a very awesome tubular shooter, and he even shoots bow arrows, archery arrows out of it. So you guys can go check that out over there. Okay, so right now these are the pieces that I found. I have had these pieces left over from other projects that I had done with the PVC, and I actually ended up having to buy this from Lowe's. It was about 70 cents. And the reason I picked this one was because I got the 1/2 inch on the edges, the same as this here. But this is a 3/4 inch female end, and so this will slide over a 3/4 inch pipe, so I can get a little bit of a bigger handle. And it also, because of the way that you can see it's tapered in this section, it'll stop the PVC, this piece of pipe, which is going to be the handle, from going too high in there, which will allow me to curve this more. And so I'm thinking I can cut down on the curve of these pieces in here if I can V this part out more, but we'll see how that ends up working out. If you're going to be touching this with your hands, I recommend wearing gloves or some other protective gear that'll help insulate, because this gets very hot and you're gonna have to manipulate it with your hands a little bit at some point. So this piece I think is about the right length to put inside there. This piece needs to be cut to exactly the same length as this piece, and I have for that a PVC pipe cutter. So okay, so this, you can see that they are very close to the same size, and they don't have to be perfect, right? But just want them very, very close. At some point we're probably going to need to cut the handle as well, but I want to get that into the Slingshot before I actually cut it so that I can measure it against my hand. And it actually looks like it might be like pretty close to the size I want it to be anyway, so I don't want to cut any more off of it than I absolutely need to. So first things first, these are going to go inside here, but what we're actually going to do is flatten them first. And in order to flatten them, you have to heat them, and I recommend to heat them slowly and keep them constantly moving over the top of the heat source. I've come up with a really ingenious, simple solution, and that's this. This is just a piece of dowel. I don't even know why I have it or what I ever used it for, but I'm just going to hold it over and pass it back and forth and just turn it. And I don't want to flatten it completely. I want to leave a little bit of space. So these screws will actually stop this 2x4 from going all the way down. As you can see, it'll leave a little bit of space in there. So here we go. So now, something I just want to show you so that you guys don't get confused. I am wearing gloves, but also I want to keep this pipe moving so that it doesn't burn, okay? When you're making things out of PVC and you need to bend the pipe, heating it is a very good option, but if you burn it, it will get very brittle and it will break very easily. So you want to stop it from burning at all costs. It also, even if you don't burn it, it's still putting out some fumes. So you just want to minimize that. I've got the door open, so you'll know because you'll smell it, and it is not pleasant. Okay, so this is probably about good. It's a tiny piece, so it doesn't take much. And again, this thing gets like 1200 degrees. But here, I'll go ahead and take this off, and you can see now the pipe is very flexible. So I'm going to set it down on my 2x4 here. I'm going to line up the edge and smash it. So it doesn't take very much force. Okay, so both pieces have been flattened, and you can see that they're both pretty similar. As far as their end to end. And again, they don't have to be perfect. This is plenty good. Alright, for this next part, I'm going to go ahead and start to heat this tee. Try as hard as you can to just heat this part across here and sort of leave this unheated. In order to do that, I'm going to take this piece of 3/4 inch pipe and stick it down on this a little bit, because what that's going to do is going to keep my hand away from the heat as I just kind of rotate this back and forth over the top of the heat gun. Like, once it's hot, it gets loose, and if this pipe is in there, it'll form around this a little bit more loosely than you want it to. And so what you'll end up with is kind of a loose handle. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so it's pretty much ready to go. I put my gloves on because I'm going to be touching it, but you can see, like, it's squishy now. I'm going to take it off, and you see it's really squishy. I'm going to stick the two ends in there. Okay, so after you got the two ends in there, I'm just going to take it like that and push the ends over the pipe like that. But what you do have down here and there are slight gaps. And what that's going to do, if you wiggle on those limbs a little bit, It's going to allow them to come out. And you do not want this. Hot melt glue will fill in the crevices. And if you ever want to take this apart, all you'll have to do is heat it up a little bit, and that hot melt glue will come right apart, and you'll be able to pull it apart. But now, the end also pulled apart a little bit. It widened across here. And that's okay, because what we're going to do is heat this piece of the pipe up at about 1.5 inches or 2 inches of the end. And when we go to push it down in there, it'll form really nicely inside this hole. There it is. And you can see the cracks are much less noticeable. The plastic at the end, when I stuck the hot melt glue in there, it dries kind of quick, so I just ran it back over the heat a little bit, and then the tips got a little bit pliable. So after I stuck the end back in there, I just kind of pinched it a little bit with my gloved hand, right? So not without gloves. So I'm going to go ahead and start heating, like I said, about 1 inch or 1.5 inches, maybe 2 of this 3/4 inch pipe. When it's pliable, I'm going to stick it up inside here, and then I'm going to go ahead and at the same time put some hot melt glue on the inside of this. Okay, so now you guys can kind of see how I curved them up a little bit. You can kind of see the profile that it's going to sit at now, and this is much nicer because this is giving me just about 1.5 inches of clearance over the middle there, and yeah, I like that. I have quite a bit of pipe sticking out of the bottom that I just don't need, so I'm going to cut off up to about the eye right there, and then we'll see how it works. You're going to put rubber bands on this, right? And you can see how that edge is kind of sharp over the top there. That's not good. You don't want that. If your band rips, it'll snap, and it could slap you in the face or hit you in the eye or something. So you want to make sure that, especially in this area, there are no rough edges that the band could rub on. Okay, so here it is. I got it all sanded down. You can see the edges along here. They're much less severe, so they're not going to cut into the bands. Nice and rounded. Even the edges, bless you, along here are nice and round. That's it. So all you have to do is take your flat bands. I got a double layer set of TheraBand black on here, and you're gonna have to figure out what your draw length is. I pull this to the half butterfly position, and then I just wrap it around, so I lace it over the front. At least I think that's supposed to be the front. And then I shoot by pulling the bands over the top like that. So when you draw, the bands will look like that.